I have a couple of series that I'm working on, and I thought it would be a good idea, both for my own sake, so that I can keep my head on straight, but also for yours, to give you a bit of an update where I am in each of those series. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Seth. I'm a full-time fantasy author. I've got a lot of books that I've written and published, and you can go and read them if you're interested. And maybe one of the ones I mentioned here will catch your interest. If so, there's a link in the description. You can go check them out. But let's get right into this update. Tower series is a continuation of the Titan series, or what's more commonly referred to as Novella. And we are already on book number 6 of the Tower series. The first 5 books have followed Thorn's adventures in the Endless Worlds, and book 6 is no different. It's in a pretty exciting place. I'm in the middle of working on it. I expect to be done actually by the end of probably next week, not this week, but the next week. Granted, I don't actually know when this video is coming out, so by the time this video comes out, there's a really good chance that it'll actually already be done with book number 6 in the Tower series. I often get the question, how many books am I going to write? And the reality is that I don't know I'll ever stop writing about Thorn and his companions. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll take a little bit of a break, but I'm sort of aiming for 12 books in the Tower series. It might end up being 15, it might end up being 20. I still have a lot of story to tell, and as I'm wont to do, the story has just sort of stretched out and expanded over time. So if you like Thorn, you like his friends, you enjoy following his adventures in the Endless Worlds, then you don't have to worry. They're not going to end anytime soon. Which brings us to actually another series that's set in the Endless Worlds. Though I guess all of my series are technically set in the Endless Worlds, but directly set in the Endless Worlds, and that is Battle Mage Farmer. Battle Mage Farmer is probably my most popular series, and I'm really excited to get working on Book 8. Book 7 is already out. Book 8 and Book 9 are coming later this year, and they are going to wrap up the story we are telling about John Sutton, about Ellie, and about the farm. But I do have some exciting news. I am actually just finishing up a novella for the Battle Mage Farmer series. It's going to be part of a Kickstarter that is coming on April 9th, maybe 8th. April 8th or 9th. It'll be in the description when it actually arrives. But there will be an exclusive novella with that campaign. If you're into D&D or you're into just reading more about the Battle Mage Farmer universe, then that is something that you're going to want to pay attention to. Dreamer's Throne, which is my third series, is clicking along nicely. The first 2 books are out, and the third book either just dropped or is just about to drop. March 27th, I think, is when it comes out. And man, that story is so much fun. I'm having an absolute blast. I also get the question quite a bit, how many books are there going to be in that series? And I'm not 100% sure. See, one of the things that, as a full-time author, that I have to sort of balance is critical response to my books. And the reality is that Dreamer's Throne, which a lot of people really, really love, did not have as wide an appeal as I was hoping. It hasn't been adopted by the majority of my readers, which means that it's sort of languishing in relative obscurity, which also means that if I choose to write in that series, I'm choosing to write something that is less profitable as opposed to more profitable. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with writing more books in that series. But they do have to sort of take a backseat to some of my more popular stuff. And that's just the reality of the economics of being an author. Because at the end of the day, while I love to tell stories, this is also how I put food on my table. And since it's important for my family to eat, I have to kind of prioritize books that sell versus books that don't really sell. And unfortunately, at its current stage, Dreamer's Throne is in that latter category. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to abandon the series at all. In fact, I'm really excited to continue with it. But it probably will start to be a slower release than some of my other series. That said, Book 4 is finished, and I'm excited to begin working on Book 5 probably towards the end of this year. Now, I just released an announcement about Soulcaller, which is coming on April 2nd, and I'm so excited for people to read that series. That is going to be a 6-book series, and I have the story pretty much set in my mind, so I'm going to try really hard not to add more and more and more to it, like I did with the Titan series, and now I'm doing with the Tower series, and also like I did with Battle Mage Farmer. Man, I really enjoy doing that, don't I? Regardless, I'm going to try to keep this one at 6 books and make it sort of a self-contained thing. Who knows, though? Maybe I'll just keep going and going and going, because that's what I typically do. In addition to Soulcaller, which is a new series, I have another new series coming out in September, at the end of September, called Iron Tyrant. The first book is Chain of Feathers, and it's a very different style of storytelling for me. It's more classic fantasy. It has a younger protagonist who will age up during the series, and I think people will really enjoy it. It was super fun to write, and the first book is already done. The second book will also be done, so they'll have a pretty rapid release schedule moving forward. That one's going to be 6 books as well, sort of in the same vein as Soulcaller, and again, I'm going to try to keep that one pretty tight. And then finally, not finally, but like second to finally, I have a new series coming out called Excellence Syndrome, and this is going to be a little bit of a step into science fantasy. Not pure sci-fi, but science fantasy. So a little bit more technology, a little bit more of an advanced setting, but still firmly fantasy, and still lit RPG. That one is coming out in the fall as well, and I'm excited for that release. I'll have more details on that as we get closer to that date. And then finally, I have 2 secret projects, and this is actually finally. I have 2 secret projects that I'm working on. One that I actually expect to be done with by the end of this month, hopefully. It's been like 3 or 4 years in the process. And the other one that I'm working on with a co-writer, and we'll see where that goes. Both of those are going to be very different from everything else that I've ever done. And I'm curious to see if I can actually make those transitions, because they're just different books. One of them is lit RPG, the other is not lit RPG, and we'll find out whether it flies or not. But anyway, that is a bit of an update on where I am with all of my series. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to listen to that. Maybe we'll try to chop this up so that you can click through to the updates that you actually want to see. Regardless, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope you are enjoying my books. There are links to everything in the description. Leave me a comment letting me know which is your favorite. What series should I spend the most time on? And which book should I write next?